Hello, everyone. Welcome to Thriving Through Trials, the program that's dedicated to bringing hope and inspiration to those facing debilitating or potentially debilitating diseases and challenges. I'm Dr. Samantha Benjamin Allen, your Freedom Wellness Doc, a board-certified physical medicine and rehab physician and founder of Freedom Wellness Physiatry, a direct specialty rehabilitation consulting practice serving the DMV in the home setting. In this show, we'll be shining a light on remarkable individuals who have not just survived, but thrived beyond their circumstances. We'll be exploring their journeys, their resilience, and the strategies they've used to regain mobility, independence, and improve their quality of life. Our goal is to empower, encourage, and motivate you, our viewers, and provide a source of inspiration in the face of adversity. Join us as we uncover stories of triumph and learn how to thrive through life's toughest trials. Today, I'm honored to have a special guest, Miss Sandra Marley. She's an entrepreneur, wife, mother, singer, leader, mentor, and so much more. And she's here to share her story of thriving through multiple myeloma with us. Excuse me. So, Sandra, I'm going to let you introduce yourself. Please tell us about you and your story.
Okay, hello everyone. As Sam said, I am a wife, mother. I'm also a grandmother of an amazing 3-year-old. I'm a business owner. I'm a woman of faith and a follower of Jesus, and a multiple myeloma patient. I was diagnosed with multiple myeloma early in 2015. Um, it progressed pretty quickly. It had affected my back and my hips, and I had lesions in my back, which caused me to lose 3 vertebrae. So they practically disintegrated. One of the most painful periods of my life, apart from
Wow.
childbirth, to the point where I was fainting with the pain. They were able to deal with that by doing a procedure called a vertebroplasty, where they insert um, a kind of concrete, I guess, to repair and stabilize the vertebrae, which were L1 to L3, the bottom of my back. And that had an almost immediate effect in just totally eliminating the pain. And that was just prior to starting my treatment chemo for the multiple myeloma. So when I first went into the doctor's office, I was literally in a wheelchair and I was in such a state. I couldn't walk, I couldn't bend, I couldn't lift, I couldn't really do anything. The
Wow.
vertebroplasty took care of much of that. And then I started 3 months of chemotherapy, IV treatment once a week, which took the best part of half a day. And that treatment is pretty brutal. I think anyone who gets chemo IV will find it's a brutal experience. Just the sheer toxicity
Yes.
of it
Mm-hmm.
all. And I'm very partial to my stomach getting upset with any kind of medication that I take for any length of time. So I lived through those 3 months being in constant nausea and vomiting. Um, and it was just a horrible, horrible experience. But praise the Lord, I was able to finish that treatment by the end of September and had a little break so that I could enjoy some time with my family. Um, Once you get past that, though, the next stage of the treatment is to have a bone marrow transplant. That's quite an extensive process, which involved me going up to Johns Hopkins for, I think it was about 4 weeks, because you have to, it's not inpatient, totally inpatient, but you have to be within an hour's drive of wherever you have bone marrow transplant in case you develop any kind of infections for them to
Mm-hmm.
bring you in immediately because the part of the treatment is a very old-fashioned chemotherapy, which completely destroys your immune system. So prior to that, they gave me growth hormones to rapidly increase the growth of my bone marrow so that they could collect that because they would re-input that after they practically reduced my immune system to nothing, so that they could reintroduce my own bone marrow to rebuild my system. So that was quite a process. And again, the very, very heavy chemotherapy, which involved the loss of hair, um, and inability to eat with all the nausea, um, problems in my mouth. So I had to take various types of medication just to, sustain some kind of health in my mouth as well. Um, and then you have to have someone with you all the time. So I was grateful to have my mom who came to stay with me during that period of time. So at the end of all of that process, I went into remission,
Hmm.
complete remission for a couple of years, but up to this point, multiple myeloma is not curable. So typically, at some point, some people after the treatment never go into complete remission, but I was blessed in that for 2 years I was, and I didn't have to have any kind of medication. But then I did relapse, and so up to this point, my disease is pretty well managed right now. So I'm just, grateful to be in the position that I am now because I know other multiple myeloma sufferers who never get back to, a feeling of good health and have to keep changing from one medication therapy to another to just to try and manage the disease.
Right. Thank
My
you.
story in a nutshell.
Yeah, what a journey.
Mhm.
Thank you for sharing, and I'm thankful to know that you continue to be in remission because, like you said, some people don't ever go into remission. And for those who don't know, multiple myeloma is a cancer of the blood. It forms in the white blood cells called the plasma cell. And shortages of cells, platelets are common in multiple myeloma and can lead to other symptoms, most often in the back. So, like Sandra shared that she had vertebral lesions and she had to get vertebroplasty. That is a common area that's affected in multiple myeloma, but it can also affect many other areas, the hips, the skull. It causes a lot of pain, unimaginable pain. So, you really have gone through a lot. And I wanted to ask you, when this started, what were your first signs that something was wrong? What indicated that you needed to get checked, or was it a finding on a regular checkup? How did it start?
Well, this actually started over 30 years ago now. Um, when I was first, my first pregnancy was confirmed. My son just turned 34, so this is how long ago it was. So prior to getting pregnant, I went to my doctor just to make sure that everything was okay. And they kept getting this strange result in my blood, and they followed it through until they found that I had something called MGUS. So
Hmm.
monoclonal something of significance. I can't remember the full term now.
Monoclonal gammopathy
Yes, yes, of
of undetermined significance. Yeah.
undetermined significance.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's it. But initially, they told me that I had multiple myeloma. On the day that they confirmed my pregnancy, they told me that I had multiple myeloma and they wanted me to abort my baby so that they could treat it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and
I'm learning new things today, everyone. So this was diagnosed in pregnancy.
yes.
Wow.
And I said to them, I have never felt unwell in my whole life.
Hmm.
And no, I'm not going to abort my pregnancy for this treatment. And so they accepted that and they went back and they re-diagnosed to this MGUS.
Uh-huh.
And so ever since then, they'd been monitoring, and this was back in the UK.
Okay.
And then we came to the US in 2001, and I found an oncologist so that they can continue to monitor things because I was hoping that the longer I went without developing, the less likely it would be to develop. But that wasn't the case. And so at, in 2015, my brother and I went to Jamaica to attend my grandmother's funeral. And I
Hmm.
remember we stayed at a little hotel, which was on an incline. And as I was walking up that incline, I just became breathless. And
Hmm.
I thought, I didn't realize that I was that unfit. And typically, I'm a very healthy person. I work out, I eat healthily. So that was
Right.
a surprise to me. And then when I came back and went to my oncologist for one of my regular checks, they started seeing unusual movements in the proteins.
Hmm.
And so they did a bone marrow biopsy, which was incredibly painful
Yes.
in the hip. And they didn't give me any kind of numbing agent or anything. It was just so painful. And that's when they
They didn't
determined,
numb you? Oh, I'm sorry.
no, they didn't.
Oh my goodness.
I have to just go back to when they first thought they diagnosed it on the day that they confirmed my pregnancy. They did a bone marrow transplant, a bone marrow biopsy in my chest
Hmm.
without any numbing agent, and that nearly killed me.
Oh,
And then
it's
they,
terrible.
yeah. So they did the same again. And now, if I ever have to have a bone marrow biopsy, I always have them give me some kind of numbing agent,
Yes.
or so. Yeah, so they did that bone marrow biopsy, and then that's when they told me that the disease had progressed to the point where it had now manifested as multiple myeloma.
Mm.
Um,
Okay.
and so then the oncologist who had been monitoring me for years apparently went on 6 weeks vacation and then retired without telling me. So then we had to scramble to find a new oncologist to take care of me.
Oh, wow.
So it's a long story, but it's a God story because looking back, I see how he orchestrated everything to get me to my local oncologist who is an MD, PhD who used to research multiple myeloma at Johns Hopkins, and he had
Oh.
connections at Johns Hopkins. So
Hmm.
when it came to the point for me to have a bone marrow transplant, he connected me with Johns Hopkins, which is where I had my transplant and where I still am under care as well. So my oncologists here locally in Annapolis and at Johns Hopkins are both caring for me. So I believe I've had the best treatment that I could have had. So I'm grateful to God for that.
Yeah, so it worked out for you good. So
Mm,
it's the former physician retired without your knowledge.
right.
Uh, it led you to even better options.
Absolutely.
So that's a blessing. Now, in the process of this, I want to shift kind of to your family experience. What was it like for your family and friends navigating this change and the process of you going through treatment and
Mhm.
pregnancy and all of it all together? Um, how did you navigate that? And what would you say was the most helpful thing a family member or friends did for you in the course of this?
So so we run our own business. I'm the CEO of our business,
Hmm.
and my husband was our CFO who had just come on full time into the business,
Hmm.
which again is a God thing because he was able to, we have employees, right?
Hmm.
So he was able to keep the business running, keep people paid. I was able to be sick and not be in the office and not
Right.
have to worry about running the business. I was able
Oh,
to
that's
take
great.
time to be sick and not have
Yeah,
worry about an employer telling me that I can only take a certain number of days off work and then I have to come back. Because I've heard of people
right.
who have chemo in the morning and have to go into work in the afternoon, and I don't even know how they do that. So my husband was there to keep the business running, and then my daughter Lauren, who was at college, she was absolutely amazing. We'd fly her home as many weekends as she wanted to come home.
Uh-huh.
She was really my carer during that time,
Oh, that's
because
wonderful.
there were
Lauren's
times
amazing.
she is amazing.
She does everything she does with just
She
such
is
calm and cool
incredible.
temper.
She was incredible. I'm just so grateful for her.
Yes.
Andrew was away at university, out of state, further away out of state. So she
Hmm.
was the one who would, be here as often as she could to watch over me. I'd be in the shower. She'd be sitting outside of the shower waiting for me to come out so she could help me.
Oh, that's so nice.
So yeah, so in terms of family, they were the closest ones in terms of proximity. They were able to help me. And then my mom flew over from the UK when I was up at Johns Hopkins so that she could be there with me all the time.
Hmm.
And then just relying on prayers, the prayers of my family, the prayers of my circle of
Hmm.
friends, the group that I sing in Heaven Song, and my church family praying for me as well. At
Right.
that point, we were at DuPont Park Church. So yeah, just the prayers and the close relationships and Lauren and my husband who were really there for me all the time.
That's wonderful. Um, it's really important that we have a circle and support when we're going through challenging times like this. And I just want to speak to those who find it difficult to ask for help, because what you'll notice in all of these stories to this point is that there's always someone who is there. And I've spoken to people who don't like to ask for help, or they feel like they're intruding, or they're being a burden. And this story again is just a testament to the fact that we need one another, and we should not be living in isolation. We thrive together. So if anyone listening is going through this or any other, diagnosis that has hit them by surprise and it's very challenging for them to function or for you to do what you need to do, please reach out and ask for help.
Yes.
Sometimes the people you least expect would be happy to help you. So I just wanted to throw that out there as a little reminder.
Hmm.
Um, and what would you say has been your biggest surprise in the midst of this to this point?
Um, the biggest surprise, well, the biggest surprise was developing the disease, really, because I really hadn't expected to do that.
Yeah, you're healthy, you
Yeah,
exercise.
yes,
Yeah.
that's right, that's right. Um, so the biggest surprise,
And it didn't run in your family, or you don't have a cancer history in your family to your knowledge.
well, my father has had a couple of different types of cancer, but apparently my brother also now has MGUS.
Oh, interesting.
So
So there
yeah,
might be a genetic link there.
right, right,
Okay.
quite possibly. So, the biggest surprise is just, yes. So when I was going through all of this, as I said, I'm a woman of faith. And so even at times when I couldn't pray,
Mm-hmm.
I knew that others were praying for me. And I developed such a sense of peace.
Mm,
And I I have maintained that level of peace no matter what I'm going through. I know that God has got me, and that just that level of peace that even at the time even if I didn't make it, it would have been okay.
mm,
Not okay for my family, who would have been devastated,
right. But
but
you were at peace with
I was at
the
peace.
possibility of that if God's
Yeah,
will was that that would be the case.
yeah, exactly.
That's profound. So the piece that you had throughout this, did you find that others were reaching out to you in the midst of this for support themselves, or maybe not knowing what was going on with you? Did you find that you were ever put in a place to play the role of,
I
um,
I
go
am
ahead.
I am now. At the time, I feel like I was missing in action because of what the disease and the chemo did to my immune system.
Hmm.
I really couldn't, go out and mix in any way because I would just pick up anything going and getting any kind of infection could have been, really severe and life-threatening. So
Right.
it's kind of missing in action during that time. But certainly since then, I've had people reach out for me to share my experience and give them encouragement. And there is a particular person who was referred to me by my son's mother-in-law. She
Mm.
lives in a different state. I've never met her. We just texted. So, I've been encouraging her, and her disease has been difficult to manage. So I know that she's struggling and sometimes in a lot of pain.
Hmm.
So, I text her on a regular basis to send her encouraging messages and Bible verses, that kind of thing, to, just try and keep her encouraged. And other people who've been referred to me who I have visited. There was another particular lady that my husband and I went to visit her when she was first diagnosed, again to share my experience, and we kept in touch for a while. And
Mm.
others who I've spoken to on the phone, just again sharing my experience and encouraging them. Everybody's experience is different because the
Right.
disease is slightly different in everyone, but the process and the therapies and the treatments are the same. And it affects everyone differently, but it's not a nice process that you have to go through. The toxicity, as I mentioned before, can be really, really damaging and just cause havoc with your systems, with how things taste. That's if you can manage to eat anything at all, uh,
Yeah, or hold them down.
hold them down. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And being that your immunity was compromised to the point that you weren't really getting out, or like you said, missing in action, did you experience feelings of isolation and loneliness?
Um, while I was going through it, I didn't, but afterwards I realized that I had gone into my shell
Hmm.
quite a lot. And it took me a while to regain that confidence to come back out of myself. Like I said, running a business, it requires me to be out and about and networking and, just trying to bring in new business. It took me a long time to get back to the confidence level for me to go back out and, kind of do my
And go.
job because
Hmm.
the medications, a lot of steroids, so my whole face features changed. You get that they call it the roid look with the big old round face.
Yeah, it blows you
And
up. Yeah.
yeah, then the loss of hair.
Hmm.
I'm used to having a lot of thick hair, so that
Right.
all of that kind of reduces severely affects your confidence level. So it wasn't until really afterwards that I realized how much I'd gone into myself
Hmm.
and then how long it took me to come out of that.
And coming out of that, did you feel like a different person in any way? What was your perception of yourself on the other side of it when you started reintegrating and getting back to your routines?
Yeah.
What was that like for you?
I think I feel that I'm mentally a stronger person. I've always been a strong person.
Hmm.
Um, that's just, how my
Your
mother is a
nature.
very strong woman, and I have two sisters, and we've been brought up to be strong women.
Uh-huh.
But I think that really improved mental my mental strength and helped me to be more compassionate and empathetic to
Uh-huh.
other people who are going through challenges, whether they are physical, health, wellness, whatever. I think it's helped me to just be a more compassionate person and hopefully a kinder person when you've been
Yes,
through something like this yourself and you see how people respond to you and how much help people give you, then I want to be able to do that for others as well.
definitely. And what advice would you give caregivers to best support a loved one in such circumstances?
Um, be patient. Um, don't, for me, I dislike it when people feel sorry for me.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a struggle that I have with my husband because he's always, oh, you're not feeling well. You should go lay down. You this and that. And I'm like, no, that's not how I deal with an illness. That's not how I deal with anything. I am
You
up
want to
and down.
push
I'm
through.
pushing through. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, don't try and make them do something that they don't want to do. If they
Right,
say, I'm well enough to do this, then allow them to do it. Don't push them into being that invalid person just sitting on the couch or in the bed doing nothing because
right,
that's not good for them. Encourage them to do what they can when they can, as long as they understand when they need to rest, then
right.
they need to rest and not try and push through to the detriment of their body. So yeah, just be there, be encouraging, help them when they need the help, but don't try and do too much for them. And as I said, for me, don't feel sorry for me. I don't want you to feel sorry for me because I'm not the kind of person that wallows
Mm-hmm.
in unhappiness or,
Yeah,
gets
or
depressed
despair.
and stays
Right,
there. No, I may go down there for a second, but I'm not staying there. So don't
right.
try and make me stay there.
Exactly. I totally get you. I share that sentiment.
Mhm.
My mom sometimes tells me I'm doing too much. I just remember a quick story when I came back from having my son, and I was getting wanted to do this and do that, and I was cleaning, and she just grabbed the vacuum from me and she said, "Go sit down." So I get it.
Yeah.
So, what would you say you're most curious or passionate about in this season of your journey?
Um, I, I, I want to continue to grow in myself as a person, to grow my business, to be a great role model for my daughter, for my grandson, hopefully, maybe additional grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm passionate about helping people and I love music. I love to sing. I love to help out and be involved in my church, in my local community. So, yeah, I'm all about helping people as much as I can, whether it's, time, talent, treasure. The Lord
Mm-hmm.
has blessed me and enabled me through our business to be able to help multiple people in different ways. So I'm passionate about doing that, and pray that the Lord will enable me to continue to do that in whatever way He sees fit. And I'm always looking for ways to try and help out.
Awesome. Well, your struggles have certainly not been in vain, and you continue to inspire others through what you've been through and just who you are. So I'm grateful that you have joined me today and that you shared your story with our audience here. And I just want to ask you before we close, what's your take-home message or lesson that you can share with the audience?
For me, it's knowing that God is always there. And even at my lowest point, He is there. And, I love to claim the promises from the Bible. And one of my favorite verses that I claim almost every day is found in Philippians 4, verses 6 to 7. And it's be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. So I believe that's where my peace comes from.
Amen. Thank you so much for sharing and looking at you today. I could not tell
No, you can.
all the things that you've been through, and your hair has grown back beautifully. So
The Lord.
you certainly don't look like what you've been through, and that is, the glory of God shining on you.
Yes,
And
yes.
it's a beautiful thing. So I'm just so thankful again to have had you here. And I want you to share how listeners can find you in case they want to reach out to you or even benefit from the services you offer with your business. Please let us know how we can find you.
Well, my business is called LPR International, and my business address is Sandra@lprinternational.com. Or if they want to reach out to me personally, my Gmail address is sandra11706@gmail.com. And I'm always happy to share, whether it's from a business perspective, if somebody out there who is wanting to start a business or needs help with a business. My business is over 15 years old and very pretty successful, I have to say. We're a federal government contractor. And one of the things that I do is mentor new and small businesses. So again, giving back to my community. So I'm happy to do that for anyone who's interested on that side of things, or anyone who's been through a challenging illness that involves chemo and that kind of thing. Then again, I'd be just happy to share and encourage and let them know there is life after a serious disease. And if you exercise and eat healthily and live a healthy life, then it will definitely help in the recovery and in ongoing management of a disease if that's what it takes. But and if your disease is cured, then living a healthy lifestyle will definitely assist in trying to ensure that it doesn't come back. And if it doesn't come back, your body is in a healthier state to be able to deal with it.
Most definitely. So health is wealth, so take care of yourselves and
That's right.
don't wait for something to happen to decide to do that. Do it now, because even if something challenging happens to you medically, your chances of recovery and recovering well are much greater when you
Mhm.
take care of yourself. So thank you for sharing that.
Of
I'm
course.
going to close. So I just want to thank everyone for tuning in to Thriving Through Trials today. If you've been inspired by the incredible stories shared on this show and would like to stay connected with us, make sure to follow us on YouTube or Facebook at Freedom Wellness Physiatry. Or you can follow me at Freedom Wellness Doc on Instagram. And remember, if you are a loved one or in the DMV and severely debilitated from a challenging medical experience or disease, and are in need in our specialized services at Freedom Wellness Physiatry, don't hesitate to reach out. We're here to partner with caregivers and help those facing severe debility achieve greater mobility, function, and quality of life at home. Our waitlist is open. You can click the link in the show notes to join our waitlist and receive tips to help you along your journey to better living. You can also visit our website at www.freedomwellness.com. Your journey to thriving begins with a single step, and we're here to support you every step of the way. Remember, your voice, your story, and your struggles matter. If you have a story to share, please contact me, your Freedom Wellness Doc, at info@freedomwellnessphysiatry.com, and you can be a special guest on our show. Thank you again, Sandra, and I
Thank
wish you a
you.
great day.
Thank you, Samantha, for the opportunity. And you are pretty incredible yourself.
Oh, thank you for your
I
kind
I
words.
really I
Thank
really
you.
admire you and everything that you do. So thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.